All right, gangsters.
Hi.
So we thought we'd give you a little update on what our plan is. We're about to head out for a couple days of camping, and what we're thinking we're going to do is a review of the ROG 12RK.
Yeah.
We went and picked it up June 1st, so we've had it about 6 weeks, and we've camped in it at least 10 nights. A couple nights I was snoring too much, and Pam went out and slept in the ROG instead of staying in the house. Not that I ever snore too much, and she never snores.
No.
She's completely silent all of the time. So anyway, we have made some modifications. Like we did some stuff pretty much right away.
Yeah.
Took the microwave out. So anyway, the modifications that we have done are we have added some of the Survival Series items. We've added the axes and the shovel and the ladder to the I guess it's the driver's side of the ROG. We've done that. We have done a complete Renogy solar upgrade. We've got 200 amp hour worth of battery, and then we've got a suitcase 200 watt panel and a controller, separate controller, and a Bluetooth transmitter so we can monitor everything from our phone. And then I've also done crazy stuff like cut the wheel off of my jack, you know. So
he does crazy stuff sometimes.
I do things that are insane sometimes, you know. But you know what, I'm going to share it with you because it's working. Alright, so here's our setup for today. We're up here at Downton Park on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Up here at Downton Park on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and we're off grid up here. So we did fill the water tank, and I did charge up the battery before we took off to 100% with shore power, and then we got here, I went ahead and just hooked it up to solar just to keep it topped off. But I think we're going to be fine. And then here's our little bathroom tent. Boom! Instant bathroom. And then Pam's going to fill up her little solar shower thing here. It'll get pretty warm. And it's enough for both of us to take a shower.
Yeah, we can both take a quick shower.
Yeah. It's not like a, you know, long soaking shower.
No luxury shower.
No, it's just, you know, taking care of business shower.
Yeah. Pick the important parts.
That's right.
Gangsterettes, or whoever makes the bed. I think I found an easier way to do it. Probably you all know this already, but if you don't, let me know in the comments below if this seems easier. So when the bed is all the way made, it is smashed head to foot in the space that it fits, which if you just open the bed up and then try to make it, you're climbing all over the bed. And I was a Marine. I was taught you had to be able to flip a quarter on your mattresses. So anyway, we can't do that. But I do like to have my bed made reasonably well. So anyway, I'm going to show you what I discovered on the last trip and see if it works as good this time as it did the last time. So I've just got like jersey fitted sheets because they're super duper stretchy. And I go into the back and I put it over the, this piece that's going to flop around, and I'll put it on the other one. So easy so far, right? And of course, this, the sheet's not stretched out or anything. I'm going to put it on this corner, and I'm going to put it on the other corner when I find where the corner's at. All right. Then flop this that way, and you have to get out to make room. So get out, lift this up so you can pull this so it'll fall. Got me so far? Okay, now I have to run around to the other side and grab the other sheet. I'm going to put the top sheet on and get it tucked before I mash this down. Okay, I'm going to mash down this side because it's good enough. There. Now all I have to do is put the sheets on and throw my quilt on top, and it's done. For me, that's faster and easier than climbing all around and trying to fight the corners and pick them up and put them down and go to the next one. Let me know what you think. So bada boom bada bing, as they say, it's all done in, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes. Gangsters, it's time that we tell you what we think of our ROG 12RK. I'll start by saying, overall, I love it.
We've had this camper for 6 weeks, and we thought we'd just give you, some idea about what we think about it. And it might actually be helpful to somebody who's thinking about getting a camper like this or this particular one. We're going to go down through a list of what we're going to call pros and cons, and then also some things to think about, like things that you may not realize are true about this type of camper.
This, or at least this specific one.
The pros. Number 1, we love the rack.
He loves the rack.
Oh.
Probably more than I do.
Oh.
It's a manly thing. But
I thought we loved the rack, but evidently not.
He loves the rack.
Okay.
It makes it very manly looking, real tough and rugged, and that's fine. And it's useful.
It is. It's very useful.
It's useful. To me, I like the tilt-out windows. Like, to me, that's a big...
Which is number 2 on the list.
Yeah, which is a bigger thing, because you can have the windows open if it's raining easier than in the kind of campers where the windows slide sideways.
The other thing is the off-grid capability of this particular camper. But this particular one is set up really well for using it off-grid.
Yeah.
It's got a 43-gallon freshwater tank. For a camper this size, that's huge.
That's like a pool.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of water.
Yeah.
Takes a while to fill it, actually, but and then the other thing is it's set up really well for creating a very good off-grid power system. There's plenty of room in the battery compartment. The battery compartment is completely closed off from everything else, It's already got a pre-wired feed from the outside with an SAE connector to feed an external panel. I think the Survival Series comes with the panels and batteries and all that. The one that we got just came with the regular AGM battery and no panels or anything like that, which was fine with us because we wanted to do our own upgrade, because we asked about doing that with the dealership, and it was going to be $1,000 a battery just for the batteries alone. And one thing to keep in mind about the power system on the way that we do it, we do not have an inverter, so we don't care about AC power. All we're really talking about when we talk about power is DC power. Power to run the lights, power to run the DC fridge, power to run the pump, the water pump.
And we can charge our devices.
Yeah, you can charge all the USB devices, but as far as plugging something in to an AC outlet, that's not what we're talking about here. We're just talking about, and it'll, this experiment that we're doing here while we're at this campground is letting us, there's a deer over there. There's a deer right over there.
There is, I see it.
There's a deer over there.
Excuse us while we gawk.
Yeah, there's a deer walking through the campground.
Yeah.
It is so crazy.
He sees that person over there.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry for the distraction, but there's a deer.
The next one, can I talk about the next one?
Yes, you can talk about the next one.
The outside kitchen. I love it on multiple levels. I love that it has like barn doors that open, and so it's easy for me to open. It doesn't like hinge up or do other crazy things that require you to be tall or strong. It just opens out, and it's got everything you need. It's well organized. It's easy to keep clean. The water doesn't slosh all over the place when you're doing dishes or cleaning up. It is a great kitchen. It's I think it's well designed, well thought out.
It is very well thought out, and you know, it's Sasquatch proof.
Right.
If you're going to have a kitchen, you better have it be Sasquatch proof. Which is, I kid around about that, but seriously though, it is a way to keep critters out of your food when you're not using your kitchen. So it's actually a pretty valuable thing to be able to just close those doors
and lock it.
And lock it, yeah.
Because I think a coon and I'm sure a bear could both pull the latch open.
They might be able to. I don't know.
Yeah, I know a coon could if it could get to it.
Yeah. Don't put any tables near your door.
Yeah.
And to keep, you know, it keeps rain and that kind of stuff out of your food as well.
Yeah.
So those are cons. No, they're not cons. They're pros.
Right. Get it straight.
I know. No wood construction. There's not a stick of wood in that camper, and I view that as a very good positive. To me, that tells me that this camper is going to last a long time. So, because when wood gets wet, that's a bad thing. If metal gets wet, it can be a bad thing, but this is aluminum. There is some steel in it, but they were pretty particular about where they put the steel. It's not everywhere. The main part of the frame and the main part of the structure is aluminum. So from that standpoint, it's a very well designed and built camper for longevity, which was important to me. The front utility bin space. There's a little tiny door in the front of the camper that allows you access to, I'm going to call it a utility bin. It's a place where you can stick all of your stuff.
Lots of stuff.
Tools.
Hoses,
all
cables.
All the stuff that you need to go camping with, you can pretty much fit it. We fit all of it in that space. Yeah. No, not all of it. Some of it fits in the back of the truck.
Right.
But for the most part, a lot of it fits in there. That same compartment also has battery storage in it as well. It's down, it's down underneath the floor of that storage space, and you just lift up the floor, and underneath there is where the battery storage is. So that door is actually lockable. So you're locking your stuff and your batteries in, away from prying fingers.
And elements.
Yeah, and elements, yes.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
The fact that the camper is lightweight. It's right at 2,000 pounds, just a little over 2,000 pounds, not loaded up. And it can carry, I think it's 1,800 more pounds on top of that. It's rated for 3,800 pounds.
Which, with the roof rack, a person could put a rooftop tent up there. And if you fill the water tank, you're 300 pounds there.
Yep.
But this camper, in my opinion, it can expand and grow and blossom into even more than what we're currently using it for.
It's easy to tow. That was another one.
Mm-hmm.
It actually tows really good.
Even
even Pam can tow it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also like the fact that it is off-road capable, that we can take this thing off of a paved road.
Yeah.
Not that we're going to take it, rock climbing or anything, but we're going to probably be taking it to places like Big Bend. Abundant lighting. You want to talk about that?
Sure. So there's lights everywhere. There's exterior lights, there's interior lights. Exterior lights, for the most part, like on both sides and in the kitchen, on the exterior of the kitchen, they have a white mode and they have a amber mode. There's amber lights you can light to, like ground effects under the camper,
which are kind of cool
if you are so inclined.
Yeah.
There's they're like, I call them like hockey puck kind of lights.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 of them in the inside of the camper on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And they light that place up like it's a surgical suite. It's very nice and bright if you like things to be nice and bright. Your alternative is there's some very nice little reading lights at the head end of the interior space, and they have a white light or a blue light.
And you can turn on and off a lot of the ceiling lights.
Individual.
You can turn them off and on individually, in addition to a main power switch, which is just a nice feature.
Yeah. So if you, by default, you only needed one of those hockey pucks on the inside, you could just do that. And then when you wanted more, you could turn those on. The other thing it has is in the cabinet space, or the shelving, whatever you would prefer to call it, up above the head of the bed and up above where some people have a TV, those have little LED lights in them that are just make it so that you can find something. Otherwise it's kind of dark in those cubby holes. And then the cabinet above the fridge has a motion activated light, which you can turn off, and in the storage bin in the front where he has the tools and all those exciting things, it also has a motion activated light in there, which is really beneficial.
So I took the time to make a list of all the things that we were going to talk about, and she's just running wild.
Oh, I'm not doing it in order?
She is not following my list at all. So we're going to just throw caution to the wind, I think, because
I was covering the lights.
Yeah, she was covering them. Yes,
thoroughly.
Yes. So we're going to now move on to on my list to the SAE DC plugs, which are on the 4 corners of the unit. And,
exterior.
Yeah, on the exterior of the unit. There's 4 switchable DC plugs that are SAE connectors. And you can pretty much put whatever you want to on those. We currently actually don't have anything on there. But it's nice that that's an option.
The fridge.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next thing on our list. Now,
it's not
DC. Sorry, it's a DC fridge.
Mm-hmm. And that's important. That's an important component, because that means we don't have to have an AC inverter.
Okay. And it's a completely adequate fridge. It's got a freezer in it. It works great. It likes to get open when we're driving down the road, but this most recent drive...
She came up with a pretty ingenious lock.
I take my hiking boot and I shove it in the little space between the counter or the cabinet wall, and the fridge.
And it actually does work.
And it works great. It kept the fridge closed.
Abundant USB plugs.
Yes.
There's probably, I haven't actually counted them. Let's see.
2, 4, 6. There's at least 8.
Yeah, there's at least 8. I think there's actually 9 because there's one on the radio. So I think there's a total of 9 USB plugs on this, and they're high voltage ones. So the high amperage ones, I guess.
4.5 volts.
Yeah, they charge pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just nice.
Yeah.
It's just nice.
It is. It's convenient.
It is. It's very convenient. And those are also DC powered.
Right. And they have little blue LEDs. They glow, so you can find them in the dark. You don't have to turn on a light to be able to plug something in.
That's true, which is nice.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for such.
Yeah.
But we'll let her talk about the stereo. You like the stereo, right?
Yes, I like the stereo. I've got it connected up to my phone. I play Apple Bluetooth music. It streams for hours. It's wonderful. Yeah, there's speakers inside where we sleep, and there's speakers in the kitchen. So we can play music, and we don't have to crank it loud to be able to enjoy it.
And they sound good.
As we move around. Yeah.
They got a nice sound.
Yeah.
I know she wants to talk about this next one.
I do. In the corners, there's a little round shelf up high on the side of the bed at the head of the bed area. And those tables came with 2 little black hooks that hang on them.
The ventilation fan. You might not think that's a big deal, but it's actually a really big deal.
Yeah.
Because we've had campers before that didn't have any kind of way to ventilate. And you can have some condensation issues. You can have, it just can get real stuffy, inside the camper. Especially if it's a small one, if you don't have a ventilation fan.
A way to ventilate.
And this one here is particularly nice because you can actually keep it open. As long as it's not pouring down rain, you can keep it open when it's raining because of its design. So that is actually a really nice feature, and you can adjust the speed of that fan, which is also very nice.
And if you wanted to, like we always have it like in exhaust mode, but you could have it draw air in and blow
it can be
down as well.
It can be a fan that sucks or a fan that blows.
Yeah, there you go. There's a good amount of indoor storage when you consider the size of the camper in particular. We've got the closet where we have all of our clothing and our towels and stuff like that. We really have space. We don't even have a continual place, continual stuff that we put there, but we've got room to store 2 ukuleles and a music book inside of our living room, bedroom space.
Yeah, there's a remarkable amount of storage for a really small camper.
Yeah.
And it's very useful storage.
Yeah.
So.
And then the whole kitchen area has, if I was carefully packing and I planned a menu, I bet you could have 7 to 10 days of food.
So those are all of what we were calling the pros. Positive things about this camper, things that we really like and maybe even love.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them.
There's quite a few. Now that we've talked about all the pros, things that are positive, things that we love about this camper, we're going to talk about a few things that we're not so crazy about.
And what we discovered was that we couldn't drop the front of the camper enough for the water to run off the front. And when it rained, it was pooling and running off the back, which is, if you recall, where my kitchen is. And as a result, we couldn't really be in the kitchen doing...
We couldn't keep the kitchen door open because water was coming into the kitchen area on the fridge, and it was pouring over the back of the camper.
Right.
So what we ultimately discovered was that the design of that jack is such. Now, I believe they have changed this since we bought this one, and I don't know if any future ones will be different than the one that we purchased was. But the one that we purchased, you could not, even if the ground was completely flat, you could not really get the camper low enough in the front to shed water off the front. And you want to shed water off the front. So because of that, I ended up making a huge modification to mine. I cut the dang wheel off.
That's how he rolls.
And that gave me, you know, probably about 6 inches of additional drop.
Yeah.
Which I personally am thrilled that we did that, because it makes it so that under pretty much any circumstance that we're in, I can get that front end down low enough to shed water, and I won't have a problem at the kitchen end, which to me was very important. So as a con goes, to me personally, that was probably the biggest con, because you really need to be able to shed water off of your camper. That's a pretty big deal.
You need to be able to control where it gets shed.
You really, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's she said that better than I did. You need to be able to control where it gets shed, and in our case, we needed to go off the front.
Yeah, yeah.
So, therefore, it was a big problem, and from what I understand, they've actually made some changes in that. I don't know exactly what they all are, but it's something worth, if you're considering buying one of these,
really,
check that out.
Any kind of a camper, it's a good
Yeah,
thing
true.
to be aware of.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Yeah, even if you got a 30-footer.
And then the other con was and this is a minor con, okay?
Yeah.
This
one is minor.
Yeah, this is a minor.
And it's really a matter of opinion.
We didn't want a microwave. We would have much preferred to have the space where that microwave is be storage. So consequently, that's one of the first things we did, was rip the microwave out.
Yeah.
We do not have a microwave, and we're completely thrilled with that.
Yeah, it's a great storage area for stuff.
And as far as cons go, those are really the only two, you know. And you know, we struggled with whether or not we should even put microwave in as a con, but because we both didn't want it, and we didn't have a choice, we had to have it, we felt it was a con, you know. It should be, we would prefer for it to be an option.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and we were thankful that we didn't have to have a TV.
Yes, we were. Yeah, that's one of the differences between the ROG and the regular ROG and the Survival Series, is that with the Survival Series you will get a TV. With the regular ROG you won't, and we didn't want a TV. And then we have 3 things that we feel that we ought to mention that you should be aware of if you're looking into this particular camper, or even something very similar to this camper. One thing that this camper does not have, it does not have a gray tank. It's basically got a pipe, 2-inch pipe, I think it's 2-inch, that comes out the bottom of the frame of the trailer, that just comes right straight out, and you have to put a bucket or some kind of way to catch that gray water. Yeah. And because it's just water coming from your sink. It's not, it's not anything else.
Right, because you don't have a bathroom.
Which is also another thing to consider about this particular camper. There is no bathroom.
Right.
And I'll show you our solution to bathroom. But no bathroom. So there's no bathroom. And finally, the other thing to be aware of is you can't stand up, which can make changing clothes and that kind of stuff difficult if you're inside the camper. It's basically just a place to sleep. You can relax and lounge in there, but you can't stand up in there.
No. You can't even get on your knees and be all the way upright, I don't believe.
Yeah, you can mostly do that.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah. But, really, when you have this kind of camper, you really need to consider it more like a bed on wheels or a tent on wheels. A nice dry tent with a fan and air conditioning and nice storage that's easy to load and take with you and easier to set up than a tent and all of that would be. But it still is a basic and simple, as in not complicated
For us, overall, we spend majority of our time outdoors, and we were looking for a camper that would allow us to be mostly outdoors.
Right.
And this here fits the bill really, really well. It allows us to keep the kitchen closed off when we want to, and open when we want to. It allows us a nice, comfortable place, secure, out of weather place to sleep. Those are our two main things. So it does that extremely well.
It does.
If I was going to give it like a rating, like let's say between 1 and 10, what would you say?
Oh, I love it. I'd give it a 9 or a 10.
I was going to say at least a 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So we agree on that. We didn't talk about that previously. So
no, he just threw it on.
Yeah, I
just
threw it
right
in.
here.
Yeah.
I was so stressed.
Yeah. I just threw it curveball right there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so that's kind of our assessment. It's at least a 9 out of a 10. There's very little about this camper that we don't like.
Right.
And I've already fixed all the things that I don't like about it. So for us, it's perfect.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
So yeah, there it is in a nutshell.